Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shana Register, and this week we've got a special guest on for you, Brian Buffini. You have probably heard of him. He has been around the country and around the world talking about real estate. He's the chairman and founder of Buffini and Company. He's Skyping in today from California, and he's nationally known as a real estate motivational speaker. He has the largest real estate training and coaching company in the world. So a lot of real estate agents know exactly who Brian Buffini is. He's also the author of several books. He's trained over 3 million business professionals in 37 countries and currently coaches more than 10,000 business people across North America. You've been very busy, Brian. Very busy.
Exhausted listening to the intro.
He offers some great sales methods and really teaches agents to work by referral, which is really great. It's really great business for agents because then they don't have to spend so much on marketing over the years, which is really wonderful. He's built a high-impact international organization. And, you know, one of the really interesting things, statistically speaking, is that the National Association of Realtors says that the average real estate agent makes only $35,000 a year. Brian, that's hardly enough to live on these days.
No, that's a hard number to live with, and that's for sales agents affiliated with NAR. The NAR number might be a little bit higher, but that includes brokers. So this is not a business to be average in, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, your company does the one-on-one coaching, and your clients earn an average of around $290,000. That's pretty good. So you're doing some great work out there.
Yeah, well, we're on a mission to make sure that no realtor is left hungry. That's our.
That's good. That's good. Well, I know you do the Peak Producers course, and those agents tend to make a higher income as well. And we have several agents here at Register Real Estate Advisors who's done the Peak Producer course. I've done it as well, and it's a fantastic course. We have a lot of title companies here in town that train the realtors through that program, and it's a really great program. So I'm glad that you're Skyping in today. How's the weather out in California?
It's pretty nice. We had a little rain for a couple of days, and everybody celebrates, and everybody crashes into each other because we don't know how to drive in Southern California. But it's 72 and clear, and it's a perfect San Diego day. Very
good. All right. Well, I know that you've helped a lot of people reach their peak potential in real estate, and you know you've got a lot of big fans in Houston, Texas. Are you going to be coming to Houston anytime soon?
Yeah, we're actually introducing a brand new event next year, which is a one-day event, which is really focusing on sales skills and really helping people get to the nitty-gritty and cut through the clutter. You know, one of the things going on in the marketplace today is that so many agents are just confused by the overwhelming technologies.
Yeah.
And they're getting all caught up in that. And so we're really trying to get people to focus on the fundamentals. It's all about serving the customer. It's all about exceeding their expectations. Get back to the basics. Be great at that. And then add your other bells and whistles. So we're excited. We definitely have Houston on the radar next year.
Good.
And we'll be bringing the one-day event there next year for sure.
Well, that's exciting. That'll be great. You know, we've got, I think 30,000 realtors here. There's a lot of potential clients for you out here in Houston.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, I know you've got a big tour coming up here in Texas, which is exciting, over in Fort Worth. That's going to be October 14th and 15th at the Fort Worth Convention Center. Tell us about your upcoming success tour.
So we do 6 of these a year, 1 in Canada, 5 in the States. And basically it's a 2-day immersion in business fundamentals, goal writing, planning, financial management. We'll bring in a guest speaker. We were talking about, you were tuning in via broadcast last month.
Yes.
Diana Nyad, the famous long-distance swimmer. So we're going to be October 14th to 15th in the Fort Worth Convention Center. And right there near the Stockyard. So I'm looking forward to I'll have my boots on and my belt buckle with me.
That's a lot of fun. We just had the Texas Association of Realtors conference there and went to the Stockyards, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Well, I have a lot of connection with Texas. My son is actually a wide receiver with SMU. In fact, they're playing Houston this week.
Very good.
He's out with a concussion, but so I'm down in Texas a lot, like I say, with my son being down there. And it is a whole other country. It's great stuff. It's a great bastion of hospitality, and then also a very, very big economy now that really is a very important part of the whole world. So that's why when we have 5 locations in the States to come to, we got to have a Texas location. So Fort Worth is the success tour this year.
Very good. What do you think about what's going on in the economy right now? You know, a lot of people were worried because of the oil and gas prices. Mm-hmm. What do you think is, Texas, well, especially Houston, seems to fare a little differently from the rest of the country. What's your take on that?
Well, I think, I think a few years ago, no one thought we were going to get below $50 a barrel for oil. Mm-hmm. And certainly with oil sands and so on and so forth up in Canada and whatever else. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to see a flat market like that for some time to come. There's a lot of geopolitical forces that have vested interest in keeping the prices down. Yeah. They're not really concerned about the folks in Houston or West Texas, for that matter.
Unfortunately.
But they're definitely, I think the prices are going to be like that for a while. When it comes to real estate, I mean, I think a couple of issues is we have a housing shortage. The recession really pulled the rug out from home builders, mm-hmm. home building finance. And we're going to have a housing shortage here for quite some time. Shannon, we need 16 million new homes, condos, and units built in the next 10 years just to meet current demand. That's 1.6 million new units a year. We're averaging right around 1 million. And so during the recession, it dropped down to 500,000. So we're behind on the pace to build homes, although there's been an uptick in the last 6 months. Texas particularly is doing a great job recruiting companies from my neck of the woods in California.
We're bringing them to Texas. Everybody wants to move to Texas.
Texas in a big way. I mean, you have less bureaucracy, less mm-hmm. paperwork, and that state income tax in California is a big, big hook. So I don't see the demand decreasing in Texas anytime soon. I think you're going to have supply issues. And I think it's good that you don't have, if there was a great gas and oil market right now, mm-hmm. you might have runaway prices in Texas. Right. And runaway prices tend to lead to bubbles and tend to lead to recessions. So the fact of the matter is, I think it's a very solid market. I think it's a very solid value market if someone's a homeowner. And I think it's a very, very solid market for a real estate professional. They just got to be very proactive about going out and generating listings. Yeah.
Generating listings, that's our bread and butter. And I know that when you spoke in Philadelphia, I was watching that in the Woodlands. And, one of the things that you talked about, you touched on, was Zillow and all the big media companies selling these leads to realtors. We have a lot of realtors here in our Houston market that purchase leads from media companies. And they're not even real estate brokerages, they're media companies. And what would you say to that? When you're teaching these realtors to get back to the fundamentals, to work by referral, what do you say about that?
Well, I have some very strong opinions on the subject. Okay, I mean, you have an Irish name, so you know that the Irish, we believe you're entitled to our opinion. But, I travel around a lot, and we do help a lot of people. Our company, like this year, 1 out of every 8 homes in the United States will be sold through the people we coach and train. Mm-hmm. So we coach right now we're coaching about 15,000 people, and we train another 10,000. And that's not including our events. So somewhere around 625,000 transactions will take place with that group. And here's what I'm going to tell you, is right now 70% of all real estate agents are purchasing leads online. Now, if I can get a little wonky with you with some statistics, Market Leader, which was the company that was part of Trulia that got purchased by Zillow, mm-hmm. they published a report here just last year that said the closing percentage was 2.5% on all their agents' leads.
That's not good.
Now wait, it gets worse. They were also including in that referral sources that were closing at 50%. So they were saying if I had an agent had 100 leads mm-hmm. and 5, or let's say 10 of them were referrals, and 5 of those turned into transactions, that when they put the 50% in with the rest of the internet leads, the conversion rate was 2.5%. So what are we doing now? So the media companies are selling the leads. By the way, they're selling the leads. Sometimes they're selling the same lead 3 times to the same person. Mm-hmm. Second, they're selling now the cultivation process. Okay, you can't sort through 100 leads or 200 leads or 400 leads. So now we're going to sell you the cultivation process. And oh, by the way, we're also going to sell you the transaction management piece and squeeze you down. Here's the bottom line. There are a lot of problems with abdicating the lead generation process to these media companies. And when you abdicate that, this is what's happened in the hotel business. And if you saw me in Philadelphia, Expedia is the company that's done this. Expedia owns 75% of all online booking services. They own Travelocity, they own Orbitz, they own eBookers, they own, you name it, they own it. Well, right now, they're dictating to hotels how much to charge for a room, because the hotels basically abdicated their own lead generation. Well, guess what? The guy who started Expedia is the guy who started Zillow.
Yeah, that's a little scary, isn't it?
They're doing the same thing.
And the agents are letting them by purchasing the leads and making them more powerful.
Companies are doing it. Mm-hmm. And here's what's worse. The boards are now in league with them. And they're going to, and you know what? They're smart. Zillow is a great company. They give consumers access to real estate. My daughter's looking for a horse property in San Diego right now. I was looking on Zillow this morning. It's fantastic. I didn't have to call my realtor. I didn't have to go into the office. Mm-hmm. I didn't send me over some listings. I just went looking myself.
But the prices were wrong.
The prices are wrong. My Zestimate is off on my house by $1.5 million. Other than that, it's great.
If only the information were accurate.
Right. So bottom line is they're giving the consumers what they want. They're pumping out these leads, but they're not leads. You can't tell me a lead from your best friend who had a great experience with the realtor to you is the same as some internet inquiry where somebody might have got a free ebook or
right.
You might have got a coupon for Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, they're just some of them are just on there looking at luxury homes they could never afford.
Look, it's fantastic. I mean, you used to have to drive around, do open houses. Now you can be a busybody, you can be a gossip, you can be a nosy neighbor, you can check everything out, and those are all being treated the same. Here's the problem for the realtor. I was at a conference in Arizona last week, and this is the stuff that has me up. I'll be honest with you. I'm 20 years at this, Shannon, but I think I'm more fired up than I've ever been with this stuff because I basically did an event. It was about 1,200 people there, and I did a meet and greet that went on for hours. And I am talking to 20-year veterans who are spending $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 a month and getting one deal off their online media purchase.
Wow.
From Zillow. From these other companies. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, they go, I used to work your system 15 years ago and sell 40 homes. I'll do 10 this year.
Yeah.
And because you know what? It's the emperor's new business model. It's the emperor's new business model. And I don't mind saying, I see butt cheeks over there and this guy's naked. We got to get back to the fundamentals of building relationships, staying in contact with our past customers, providing great service, marketing to our sphere of influence, and generate referrals. And so I can say this, my average client does make $290,000. NAR's average client makes $35,000. So the fact of the matter is, I'm going to say this. My rule of thumb is if you are making less than $500,000 in revenue as a realtor, you shouldn't be messing with anything else other than sphere of influence marketing. And once you get past $500,000, we have hundreds of agents making over $1 million a year, mm-hmm. and we have them using online lead stuff. We have a CRM that actually cultivates online leads. So it's not that I'm against it altogether. It shouldn't be a first thing that you do.
Well, it shouldn't be the only thing that you do. I know realtors, that's all they do, and they've never even worked their sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So tell us, let's get back to your success tour that you have coming up. What's the theme? What are you talking about this year?
Oops, sorry, the Skype dragged there a little bit. Right at the crucial time. You had me sitting on the edge of my seat. So, you were asking me about the Fort Worth convention, is that right?
Yes. What's the theme, or what are you talking about? You said it's a lot of business planning. Is it getting ready for next year?
It is. It's how to have your best year ever. And so here's what I believe. I believe we're going to see a little rate increase at some point in time, either at the end of the year or the beginning of next year. I believe the end of the year to the first quarter next year is very, very important for the realtor. And so what we're going to do is we teach 16 systems that if people follow, each one will cultivate a referral. Out of the 16, we encourage people to pick about 3 or 4 that they like the best. Mm-hmm. Then the next thing we do is help them build a business plan. Then the next thing we do is we teach them how to kind of set themselves apart in the marketplace. So one of the guys I'll be bringing in is my best friend, Joe Nego, who's considered America's best listing agent. So he's going to help people with that shortage of inventory by helping them how to generate some listings and set themselves apart. We're also going to talk about how to manage yourself. I have a section I call Managing the World's Most Difficult Person, which we all know as me, myself, and I. And then we'll finish up by also helping people with the financial management piece, how to really get your finances under control as a self-employed person. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Dave Ramseys and all this and great people, but it's different when you're self-employed, how to handle a budget than when you have a paycheck. So we kind of, I want to show people, here's the fundamentals on how to generate a lead. Here's how to go and here's the goals to set, the business plan to build. Here's the financial piece. Here's the listing piece. And then we throw a little motivation in there on top of it. It tends to be a pretty good couple of days for $95.
So John O'Leary, he's going to be doing your motivational speaking?
Yeah, fantastic guy, great presenter. He's presented several times at some of our other big mega conferences. John was burned as a 9-year-old over 100% of his body and had this phenomenal story to come back to a will to live. Had famous people like Jack Buck in his life, who's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, and basically has this inspirational story. And today he's married, 4 kids, phenomenal life, inspirational speaker. And when you go through that, you go, okay, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. This guy overcame a most hard to believe circumstance for a human being. Yeah. So maybe talking to my sphere of influence isn't so hard. Maybe going out and making some calls is not impossible. Maybe popping by with a little gift is not the hardest thing in the world. And that's part of what it does. It gives it a little perspective,
All right. So October 14th and 15th at the Fort Worth Convention Center. Can anyone go to that, or is it really just for realtors?
Well, here's the thing. We don't advertise this, but we actually have, right now, our company coaches 43 different types of businesses.
Okay.
And so what happens is anybody who's interested in growing their business by referral, it's a systematic approach to that. Mm-hmm. And it applies to any business where somebody's got a service industry where they're looking for a referral. My focus is real estate. My background is real estate. It'll probably be 90% of the audience. But definitely many people from many walks of life have made it there. And we're happy. It's a big tent. They're all welcome.
Very good. All right. And if people want to sign up for that, they can go to buffiniandcompany.com, Buffini and company.com.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And then brianbuffini.com too.
Yep. And all Buffini roads will lead to Fort Worth.
All right, last question for you about the TILA RESPA, the big changes that are being enforced by the CFPB. We've been talking about that a lot. These changes to the closing documents, the closing disclosures are happening across the country. Do you think that that's going to slow down our economy? Do you think these changes are good? What's your take on that?
No, I don't think they're good. I don't think any legislation connected to Dodd-Frank has helped the real estate business. There are reasons why Dodd-Frank is in place that I absolutely understand. It's not going to be our friend, but here's what it does mean. We got to have our ducks in a row. Mm-hmm. We've got to be more prepared than we've been in the past. We can't be sloppy in the last 3-4 days of a transaction, try to figure things out. No, we'll just fix it in escrow. The closing attorney can handle that. Those days are over.
Yeah.
The clock resets. My big concern with it is if we don't have our ducks in a row, and then the clock resets. When the rates change, you're going to have people lose their locks. If the clock resets and the deal gets put back, a first-time buyer might not be able to close, and now they lose their deal, and there can be the chain events. Sometimes they're selling to sell, to buy, to sell, to buy.
Yeah.
That domino effect can happen. So it's really a call for agents to be as professional as possible. And here's the last thing, Shannon. There's always fires to put out in real estate, and it's not always clean, and it's not always perfect, and that is going to happen. Yeah. And the most professional realtor in the world with the best service in the world, on occasion, they'll probably have a deal or two next year that are affected by this for sure.
Well, hopefully affected won't mean fallout.
No, it just means they have to set proper expectations for all their customers.
Yeah.
They just have to let them know that here's the new law, and if things go late, and if we miss, here's what happens. Mm-hmm. So I think I think it's about setting expectations. I think it is a little more difficult. I bought my first home. It was a 1-page contract.
Wow.
Now those days are long gone.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. An agent doesn't even sign a 1-page contract to join a brokerage anymore. It's all complicated.
Yep.
All right. Well, we appreciate you Skyping in from California. I know you're going to have a great turnout October 14th and 15th over in Fort Worth at the Convention Center. And if any of our audience listening wants to get involved in that, they can go to buffiniandcompany.com to learn more. Thanks so much. We appreciate you Skyping in.
Thanks for having me, Shannon. Appreciate it. It's a great show.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio.